My eyes jerk open and I suck in a deep breath. I glance around me to see that Daniel, Minnie, Ellen, and Virginia are all sitting around my bedside with nervous expressions on their faces. Finally, she awakes, Virginia teases. Everyone was so worried about you. How long have I been out? I ask as I prop myself up on my elbows. The rest of them give me concerned glances, but Minnie seems to understand. Not that long, she tells me. Only a couple of hours. I breathe out a sigh of relief. I thought this was going to be like last year when I woke up and everyone was like, "Surprise! It's Tuesday!" when the last thing I remember was going to class on Friday. No memory spells, Minnie says with a shake of her head. Your memory should be intact. What's the last thing you remember? Protecting Daniel from Keo, I say as I glance over at him. Are you doing okay? I'm fine, thanks to you, Daniel says as he nods in my direction. If you hadn't been there to push me out of the way... His voice trails off. I can't thank you enough. Don't sweat it, I say. So how did I get back here? Potsdam? Hieronymous? Professor Grabiner came just after you passed out, Daniel explains. Let me guess, I say quietly. He's pretty mad, huh? I don't think I've ever seen him that angry in my life, Daniel says, and I can't help but sulk. I had done it again. I had thought that everything was going to be fine now that Damien was out of the picture, but I had almost died. In a duel with another student, no less. How was he ever going to forgive me for this? I didn't have an answer, and I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to come up with one. The last time I had woken up from nearly almost dying, Hieronymous had already scheduled the severance. He had told me to talk to Professor Potsdam immediately upon awakening, and I still remember her words in my head, clear as a bell. Seeing you die was like a shock to his system. He had already lost Violet once, and he'd rather be alone than risk losing me too. Was that what was going to happen to me now? Was Hieronymous going to end our relationship because I couldn't stay out of trouble? Was he upset that I had almost died again, or was he angrier that I had gotten into a duel with another student? I had used magic on another student outside a classroom setting. Was I going to get in trouble for that? Was it possible that I was going to get expelled for that? If I was, it would certainly explain why Hieronymous wasn't here right now. Where is Hieronymous? I ask, glancing around the room. He took Keo and Pastel to Professor Potsdam's office, Ellen explains. They're in a lot of trouble. Am I in trouble? I ask. I mean, I did use magic too. Do you think I'm going to get detention, or do you think... I let my voice trail off, but they don't know any more than I do, and I quickly change the topic. How did you all find out about this, though? Everyone knows, Minnie tells me, frowning when she sees the look on my face. I'm sorry, Tori. Daniel started yelling for help, and he attracted a bit of a crowd. I'm sorry, Daniel offers, but I just shake my head. The last thing I remembered was being attacked by Keo, my body being torn apart by 1,000 cuts. I look down at my hands and gasp as I see them for the first time. My hands are covered with what seems like hundreds of scratches, as if a cat had clawed me all over. I try to sit up, but wince as I suddenly feel my body come alive with pain. My arms, my legs, and probably my chest and back too, were covered in hundreds of small cuts. Don't try to get up, Minnie says quickly. You aren't completely healed yet. What did Keo do to me? I ask, my voice shaking. Seriously, what is this? It's an old magic curse, Virginia tells me, and I turn to her desperately. It's called death by 1,000 cuts because that's what it is. It inflicts the person with 1,000 cuts. Most people black out from the pain and die of blood loss if no one is around to help them. It's not a spell that's approved in most dueling forums, and it's definitely not a spell that Keo should have used on you. Where did he even learn it? I ask. I know I shouldn't turn to look at Minnie, but I can't help it. They used to date when Minnie was a freshman. I don't think she would ever teach him a curse like that, but if anyone knew about curses like this, it would be Minnie. He's a senior, Minnie says, avoiding my eyes. They probably have learned all kinds of spells that we don't know. But how long is this going to take to heal? I ask, looking over my hands. I am going to be able to heal, right? I mean, I pretty much lost my entire stomach when I battled Damien, but I woke up without a scratch on me. This isn't just an injury, though. They call it a curse for a reason, Virginia explains. The only reason I know about it is because it was in one of the children's books that our mom used to read to us when we were growing up. Just like Low World children have the stories of Hansel and Gretel, we had stories about promise breaking and curses. It was sort of like a warning. Behave and listen to your parents and follow the magical rules, or you don't know what will happen to you. So, if it's a curse, it means I'm not going to heal? I ask as I stare at her. You mean I'm going to be covered in scars for the rest of my life? We don't know, Ellen says quietly, and I turn to stare at her as my jaw drops open. We really don't. All we know is what Virginia told us from the old stories. The teachers probably have a way of fixing it with green magic or something. But if Hieronymous could fix it, why didn't he already? I ask, but my question is only answered with blank stares. Maybe he was more focused on taking care of Keo and Pastel, Daniel offers, and he'll be back to heal you up later. Or maybe he won't heal me at all, I venture. Maybe that's how they're going to punish me. Maybe they're going to have me look like this my entire life. I gasp. What if they expel me and take my magic? Then I'm going to have to live the rest of my life looking like this, and I won't even have any magic to try to hide it or heal myself or anything. No way, Daniel says as he shakes his head. I won't let them expel you. It's not your fault. You were defending me from Keo. This isn't your fault. He's right, Tori, Minnie says. You may have used magic, but Keo is the one who cast the first spell, right? I think so, I say, trying to think back, but I didn't run away or call for a teacher or anything. I dueled him back. Potsdam might say that's enough of a reason to expel me. You seem pretty nervous about being expelled, Virginia observes as she crosses her arms over her chest. And I haven't seen you around as much lately. What have you been up to? What have you been doing? Have you been doing something you shouldn't have been doing? I immediately look down and say nothing. You were calling out Musette's name in your sleep, Ellen ventures. Yeah, who is Musette anyway? Virginia asks. You have a new friend I don't know about? She's a freshman girl that passed away after she was expelled, Minnie tells her, and Virginia's jaw drops in shock. Don't worry, Tori, you're not going to end up like Musette. Ellen and Daniel exchange a glance, and I just nod. You're probably right. You should get some rest, Minnie continues. I'm sure Hieronymous will be back soon, and then you can get some answers then. In the meantime, we'll head to the library and see what we can dig up about curses. We will? Virginia asks blankly, and Ellen elbows her in the side. I mean, right, of course we will. Anything to help Tori. Thanks, I say as I smile at her. Would you like me to use a sleep spell to knock you out? Minnie asks as she looks at me. Go for it, I say as I lie back in the pillows. See you all sometime hopefully soon. Hopefully, if they were going to expel me, they would at least let me say my goodbyes first.